this revelation in this video I'm about to play, if it is truth, now I see why Tinubu hurriedly passed into law the new electoral act that was prepared or written by Akpabio-led National Assembly. And if this is allowed to stand, Nigeria will be up for a very long time. Nigeria has now officially adopted the system of election, the system of leadership that is happening in countries colonized by French government. You see, example, Cameroon. When Cameroon say election is coming up, what they actually mean is coronation is coming up. That is why they have been doing coronation over and over again for Paul Biya. That is what is about to start in Nigeria, starting from 2027. From 2027 onward, whenever you hear election is coming up in Nigeria, just take it that coronation is coming up. Unfortunately, if the new electoral law is allowed to stand in Nigeria, that's what we are going to be facing. And in fact, with this new electoral law, just like Igini said, election has already been decided and Tinubu will be returned come 2027. There is nothing any other person can do about it. Unless, just like he advised, the National Assembly do just what this man advised. Take a look at this video and we'll feel sorry for ourselves.
This 2026 Electoral Act, the provisions that I have identified, I want to quickly advise INEC to quickly go back to the National Assembly to call for the repeal of this section 63 as quickly as possible. I have now found a more dangerous 3 provisions and I put them out so that I think that Nigerians can read it, they can see it before any comment. First, let's go to section 63. Now, section 63, which I just discovered, they have now reintroduced something very terrible. You can see it there. That ballot paper that will be used for the 2027 election that does not bear the official security features of INEC should be accepted by presiding officer. You can read it there. That where the returning officer satisfied, the word satisfied that was contained in section 49 of the 2010 Act that took us 20 years until 2022 to repeat, to remove, because what is the objective condition to determine what satisfies a presiding officer? The presiding officer has now been given the discretion to now accept ballot paper, notwithstanding the absence of the official mark, and to count that ballot paper. What that means is that before this election, politicians who now have access to the the security features of INEC ballot, they are going to produce their ballot papers. They are going to print their own ballot paper that have to be accepted. This is dangerous, as put in the Electoral Act. Similarly, Section 138 has been one of the rigging provisions that we have cried out to be removed. In 2019, under Buhari, when we made that recommendation that this thing should be removed, this section should be removed, remember that it was rejected. May I make a few observations here? You see, when you want to deceive people, you put it in words. Bring that section back again. You see, what they basically said, they were just short of referring to INEC regulations and guidelines, because the instruction and directive of INEC are contained in INEC regulation and guideline. They are saying that a presiding officer, an assistant presiding officer, a collation officer, a returning officer, they can abandon it. So they provided immunity there without repeating. Let's go to the last section. It will interest Nigerians to know that section 137 now says that all those categories of individuals, I think the other time I provided you what we call a pyramid. All the categories that we have just mentioned, presiding officer, returning officer, it says that where the petition, that's anybody go to petition now, to go to file a petition, complains of the conduct of an electoral officer, a presiding officer, returning officer, it shall not be necessary to join such officer. That is those who have disobeyed to follow INEC instruction and guidelines. That it shall not be necessary to bring them to the commission. That was why, you remember in 2019, in 2023 and previous elections, you'll find that because INEC has been joined, you are saying that the people who rig election, presiding officer who actually were the maker of the document, you said because you have invited, you have joined INEC as a respondent, it shall not be necessary to bring them to the tribunal. Meanwhile, the courts have always complained about what we call dumping of documents, that petitioners should come and call for oral evidence. To deal with that, under section 137 in the 2022 Act, a new law was put in there to the effect that if document, because you remember that in the 2023 election, there were results, about 18,000 in different parts of the different, where they had different numbers of result sheets that were mutilated. You could not read them, but votes were attributed to them. But they were certified by our commission. They were taken to court. You remember that when a director of our commission, who unfairly was brought to speak to a document he did not make, he was not able to read them. Yet the court will now propose under the 2022 Act that have now been removed, to the effect that once there's a complaint about non-compliance to the due process, to the extent that the document is before the court, certified as INEC document, it shall not be necessary to call oral evidence because of the fact that most of the presiding officer will not be around. Dr. Abati, as we speak, this provision that I have outlined, particularly, it means that at the level of the balloting, it has been sabotaged to the extent that ballot papers, you cannot going to have ballot box stuffing if the presiding officer is satisfied. Do you know that when I had trained people on a Wednesday for the 2019 election, for Saturday election, politicians went to share money for presiding officer, dollars. If I were looking for the picture of that to also put on the table, dollars. Some of them came to me. What did they tell me? They said, when I said, I train you people, and I said, some of you will be arrested if you don't observe the highest principle of ethical standard. I was told that they pointed out to them this section, that nothing will happen to them, they will not be invited to tribunal. So this provision we are seeing here, immunity has been provided for them. You rig election, you will not be invited. They said, any instruction of INEC, you cannot obey it, nothing will happen to you. This is what they are going to do to train them. I want to quickly advise INEC to quickly go back to the National Assembly, to call for amendments for the repeal of this section 63 as quickly as possible. You see, a stone seeing coming should not blind the eye, because this is the foundation. The ballot is the foundation.